G'day, Stu here from UAVfutures, and today, well, we're going to be looking at the part 2 of the Anubis from Drone Eclipse. Now, this is a 5-inch racer with an extreme center of gravity. I mean, look at that profile. If you haven't seen part 1, definitely check that link out up here because that's where we broke it down, looked at all the components. But now, let's get into the good stuff. Let's take it down to the field, rip it around. The only real thing I've done is I put the GoPro mount on the top, so it's ready to rock and roll. Let's take it down to the field, fly it around, and also hand it over to some other pilots, and then sort of give you my impressions of it. All right, let's do it in 3, 2, 1, boop. Rightio, out here in the field, about to rip it around with the Drone Eclipse with the Anubis. I am still worried about the battery, so we're gonna have to see how that goes. Hopefully we don't chop it up, but I'll show you guys some flight footage, and then I'll also hand it over to Calvin as well and get his impressions. Anyway, enough rambling, let's do it. Alrighty, so here we go, and one thing I want to point out is look at that prop profile. So your camera is really down low, and I don't expect this thing to have so much gusto. It is definitely very, very quick off the pad. So yeah, it did feel amazing to fly around. Now the whole time I was flying this around, I want to look at this speed too. Like, this is some pretty serious speed. It felt really locked in. I think it had a great tune as well. I don't know if it was on default, but it did feel amazing in the air. But the whole time I was flying, I just couldn't shake, you know, thinking, if I'm going to crash this soon, am I going to wreck my batteries? And batteries can be so expensive, so when you're flying around, you know, if you want to put a good battery on there, you want some solid performance, which is what I wanted, I didn't want to have that crash where it's going to cost me like 40 bucks or something like that. So coming into the first over and under, it did take a little bit to get used to, but it was very snappy, and I think the center of gravity in this frame definitely helps. Does it feel as good as something like the Talon? I'm going to say no, but I do think what I want to see is like an incorporation of all these amazing frame designs into one part. So I think we're coming up to a crash sometime soon, and that center of gravity definitely made it feel very, very zippy. It felt amazing in the air, but yeah, no matter how much I wanted to fly this thing, the confidence for me, I just felt like I couldn't push it. If I was going to take this thing out and absolutely rip it around, and look, it could really get up to some serious speeds, I just think that for me, I don't want to risk crashing it with that battery. They really need to come up with a solution. Here's a little bit of a crash though, so we went through a pretty big roll right here.
$50 flight, $40 flight.
No, we're still good. So that bit was pretty crazy. You know, I expected some broken batteries right there, but with the 2 Velcro straps, surprisingly, look, we didn't have any issues. And just a bit of a spoiler, we do come up with a couple of crashes right here. I think Calvin actually does something to my frame, but overall, we didn't wreck any batteries, but I still couldn't shake that feeling. So look, am I going to be flying this thing all the time? Not in its current state, because I'm just don't have the confidence to really push it without breaking a battery.
Oh, it's disappeared in here.
It's really stuck in here. Well, that's 2 crashes and no actual split batteries. So what we should do, this is probably really filthy, what we'll do, that was pretty fun, we'll hand it over to Calvin and see what he thinks as well. Righto, Calvin, what do you reckon?
The Anubis, different kind of a frame. It's very innovative. It's got a lot of the design traits that I would incorporate into a quad if I was designing and building one. It's pretty damn well executed. The only thing that I'm a bit skeptical over is the way this battery is placed. It looks like it's really prone to damage, so that's got me a little bit concerned.
You want to fly one of yours on there or one of mine?
One of yours would be fine. Camera, that doesn't bother me too much. There's plenty of front protection, especially if you're running the GoPro. But all in all, it looks like it's going to be really well balanced and a pretty dynamic flying little quad. I'm eager to give it a go. Ooh, it feels quite light and maneuverable straight off the bat, there's no doubt about that. It's doing exactly what I'm asking it to do. It feels like it's really locked in, it's had a really good pin tune. That's what it really feels like, straight off the bat. Oh.
What happened, Calvin?
I don't know, I didn't punch out. The ground got in the way.
Ooh. So here's Calvin's crash. I reckon that would have sliced that battery if, you know, hadn't have stopped it. Doesn't look sliced, but definitely that prop. Alright, Calvin, what have you done to my quad on its second flight?
Well, I haven't hurt the battery, okay, so the battery's in good nick. I'm really surprised about that. So far so good. The only damage that we did do here is break a bracket that holds the VTX antenna, but I think we'll be able to find a solution for that pretty easily.
Yeah, let's just zip tie it in, I reckon. We'll do something like that.
Roger that.
Alrighty, take 2, Calvin, after you broke the last one. Let's try this again for the Anubis.
It moves just so effortlessly, I gotta say. It's really well balanced. The thing that concerns me is how well it's gonna crash. And if it's gonna cost you $40 every time you have a crash. If that wasn't an issue, I'd say this is gonna be a great racing machine. It's got a slightly stretched X profile. Can only contribute to the stability of this thing, and I'm telling you, it's stable.
I guess in saying that crashes too, we've crashed just what, like 3 times now, and so your one was definitely pretty hard where we broke the frame, but we haven't actually wrecked a battery yet. But I agree, I'm also concerned about that bit.
Yeah, I think we've just had a bit of luck there with that, Stu. But I think it's going to bite you on the bum eventually. I don't know what would be a good solution, is if there could be some kind of side rails that would guard the battery against prop strike. That might be it, but I do like the idea of having the battery on top. It really just centralizes the mass and just makes a great flying little machine. There's no doubt about that. I think if you put the battery on the bottom, I think you would lose that.
Awesome. So you're a fan or not a fan?
I'm a fan, but I think there needs to be some work done on it. Look, if they come out with a version 2, I think they'll definitely have a winner. There's no doubt about it. I think it is a winner.
I guess compared to all your rigs, let's just give it a rating out of 10. Not a grumpy Trev rating. Just what would you say? What's your rating out of 10 for this one?
Well, I'd give it a 7.5.
Yep.
Maybe possibly an 8. And if you could resolve the battery issue, I'd give it a 9.5. I really would.
Too easy. You finish this battery, don't break it, and yeah, enjoy it. Alrighty, so there it is. There's my part 2 review of the Anubis from Drone Eclipse, and the one part that I guess really surprised me, it really did feel amazing to fly. Like, it really did feel centered in, and the way that your camera was right in that low profile of the props, and I wasn't expecting to feel such a significant difference, but I actually was quite surprised. I didn't think I'd be able to feel it quite as much, but it felt amazing in the air. But the only downside, well, actually there's 2 downsides. The small one, bit of a bummer about the antenna that we broke off the back. So that part was, it was an easy fix, but I think that's a little bit of a design flaw. But the other one, I really wanted to push this, and I was like, man, this quad feels great. I want to fly this around more, but I just didn't have the confidence. I was still super worried about prop strikes. Even though we had a few crashes, I just couldn't get it out of my mind, and it sort of stopped me pushing this quad to where I think its limits would be, because it felt fantastic racing it around, but I just didn't want to push it, just in case. Like, every crash I was worried, have I wrecked my battery? Have I wrecked my battery? Which I think is the biggest concern with this one. Anyway, I'm going to leave some links down below if you want to check out the Anubis from Drone Eclipse. Overall, look, I think it's got some fantastic designs here, but I do desperately think if they could fix up something with the prop strikes, I would be all over this frame and I'd be a massive fan. But until then, I guess it's just too risky for me to fly. But hope that you guys enjoyed that. Subscribe for more FPV related content, and as always, happy flying. And a rolling and a boot. G'day, Stu here from UAVfutures, and today we're going to be looking at the part 2 review of the Drone Eclipse. Now what this is a 5-inch racer with an extreme center of gravity. Alrighty, so hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. Definitely subscribe if you're new to the channel and check out these videos. And I'm also going to leave a little link here to my Patreon page, because I've got some fantastic Patreon supporters and I like to give back to them as well. So if you want to join the UAVfutures family, there's things like bonus velcro straps, little bundles of FPV goodies and things like that that also get sent out. Anyway, happy flying.